So this is the belt drive that I 3D printed that is going to be going into the ECX Barrage 124. We're going to replace the spur gear right here with this gear here. The pinion itself will be replaced with this little guy. And then this will affix itself using that mounting hole and that one down there, like so, and then you push it in and it just kind of holds there. And in the top here we have a bearing on this side with a 3D printed shaft that goes through to this spindle or whatever you want to call it here, and there's another bearing on this side here for the shaft. This just kind of presses on. You can glue it if you like. It seems to be holding pretty good without doing that. So that's what we're going to try to get the low speed control on the 24 Barrage to increase. We have an 050 motor in there. I can't really get, there we go. This is the 050 motor that I really like, RGT one. So we're going to try to put this in here and see if we can slow it down and kind of get a little bit of a creep going on here and make the Barrage a little bit better. If this works, we might be doing this to at least another truck. I don't know yet because I got a few other ideas that I want to try as well. So we might try this one on this and may try something different on one of the other ones. So we're going to check this out. So hopefully you guys stick around here to see the rest of this. I'm pretty excited to see what it'll do. So I had to change this just a little bit, and I got to be careful. I'm letting the glue dry now. I did put the bolts in here. Let me see if I can get something to show you what's going on here. See if this will work. Okay, so it's kind of like a little pointer. You can see right here, I did actually add, these are from an eyeglass kit, and I just took some of the longer screws and I put a washer and a nut on the end of there, and also way down in there, if you can kind of see that. The motor itself has a push-on type pulley, which you can kind of see in there on the light underneath the rubber band. And then you have the outer one here. Now the outer one, you see how it kind of jacked up right in through here. We're not too worried about that. It doesn't really have any function. I suppose you're supposed to put the nut on there, but I'm not going to. It fits pretty tight as is. Up here at the top is where we made a bunch of changes. We kept having the shaft break on this, so I put a regular screw from a screw kit on a drag slash. I just put a nut on here that I had left over. It's not even the right size, it just gives me the right distance. And then there's a tiny bit of distance in between the pulley and the whatever this mount thing is or whatever, and the bearing. So it's just enough clearance to where everything lines up. And if you look, it lines up pretty good actually. So this is pretty well straight. Get it over here where you can see it. So there you go. So everything should line up pretty well. I'm actually looking forward to testing this out hopefully later. I've got to let the glue itself dry and kind of go from there. So I will make a second video once that happens, because this is going to be kind of an ongoing thing. Hopefully we can see how this thing works out, and maybe it'll do something really good for the Barrage here. This is a really good truck anyway, but you know, the slower speed is what you really need on this rig, because right now it's got that jumpy thing. Even with the AE6 ESC and receiver combo in there, that's from the SCX24. And these are decent controllers. You know, they give you a lot of decent slow speed control, but these do not have the worm gear. They're just a ring and pinion. Or ring and, yeah, whatever the hell they call it, ring gear, whatever. Anyway, that's all that is for the setup. So they don't really have the slow reduction that the worm gear provides. That's what this is hopefully going to replace. I've seen one video from a guy, and I actually got this off of Thingaverse, so hopefully this does what his does. His is looking pretty sweet by now, so we'll just have to check it out and see what it does. We're gonna have to do some work on it, but let me show you what's going on here. So first things first. So forward isn't forward, it's reverse. See? And forward is reverse. But as you can see, it's kind of wonky. Does it work? Yeah, but watch the bands. It's trying to bound itself up over there. Not really a lot of strength on that. So for doing some, real crawling, I don't know that that's going to do what I want it to do. Now, this might be a design that we could work on later and do some, I don't really know. I'm trying to kind of think about this, as I do it. Okay, so let me explain what we got here. We got a bearing here on this side, a bearing on the other side. I got a screw through there for the shaft because I didn't like the plastic one. It wasn't very strong. And if you can look at it right here, you can kind of see how it's, turned down. It's putting a lot of tension on this right here. So that's part of the problem there, because with the tension being on it, there's a bearing here and a bearing there, but it's catching the bearing at a weird place, so it's not really running free and true. So I really should have like a shaft. I might try an actual like piece of metal shaft. That might help. Now, down here, when you take everything off, and these are just rubber bands, which is kind of why I wanted to try it. It was, kind of like a household kind of thing, and it does kind of work. So just watch the, let me see here, if I can get a light in there for you. You can kind of, I guess you can kind of see that. So what we're looking for is this right here, the motor pulley or whatever, the motor piece, where the pinion would actually normally go. See how it moves? Moves nice and free. Forward, reverse, whatever I want to do with it, it moves. So that's not the problem. And the other problem is this right here is, well, this isn't a problem, it's the spur. And as you can see, it moves great when the vehicle moves and stuff, everything moves really well. Most of the problem is up here. So we're going to kind of look into this, see what we can do with it, because I know if we redesign this, it'll be a little bit better. But you see how it's kind of wonky there? So we're going to start with like a regular shaft first. I'll try to keep this pulley. It's kind of a junk pulley. I did a quick print on this stuff, and I figured, I just want to try it, see if it works. If it works, I'm going to do better ones later. It's usually what I do when I'm playing around with something. What I'm going to do though is I'll throw a shaft in here. Like maybe I can get like a, I don't know, like a hinge pin or something, or like a 10 scale or 18 scale or whatever, one of those pins on the for the A arms. I might use something like that if I can get it, and then that'll help kind of tighten it up a little bit and basically just run on the bearing. Maybe that'll be enough to kind of get it going. Now these are just rubber bands too, so it's not exactly like you're working with a great tolerance. They're all about the same, but here's the problem when you have rubber bands. So let me show you this too. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. This one, and this one. Actually, hold on. I got a better way to show you this. So you got about 3 centimeters on that one. This one is about 4-ish, 3.5-ish, something like that. And this one over here is about 3 again. So see, as they stretch and stuff, they're gonna wear out very quickly. And not only that, the tolerance on these is not the greatest thing in the world anyway. So let me stack them all up and I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about here. See how they're already, some of them stretched out more than others. So you're not gonna get like a true tolerance here to kind of hold true, which is what I kind of want. So I'm gonna have to come up with something. This is a good idea, a good place to start and everything. Kind of gives me a springboard to, kind of build on it. But this will be a later project for sure. Looking for suggestions on it, guys. Anybody has any ideas on what to try there? I thought about taking and trying to create some sort of an actual belt with teeth and stuff on it. and do like what they do in the automotive world, you know, when you got like a helper pulley and stuff, or I could even do it with these really. I can put like a helper pulley, and that'll kind of help tighten it up like a tensioner or whatever, and that might actually help it pretty good. And then take some of the tension off up here and replace it on, you know, whatever tensioner I put on there. So that might be a good idea to try as well, but we're gonna have to kind of get a little creative to make this work, because it kind of works now, but it's a very finite kind of thing. Like it's very finicky. You gotta do everything 100% correctly, and then even still, it's not gonna, from what I see, unless I'm doing something wrong, which I don't think I am, putting it on any kind of a bind with these rubber bands and stuff, it's just going to bind. It's not really going to overcome the bind. It's not going to load up and then, you know, jump over it or it's not going to do any of those things. It's just going to load up down here around where the pinion would normally sit. And what it does is it kind of wraps itself around there. This little rubber band does, and it gets caught in itself. Okay, so we could do a couple things. We could redesign the groove, make the groove a little bit bigger, that kind of thing. But then again, you don't want to walk around too much either. You know, like this groove right here, these are nice and deep and they're nice and wide. Okay, so maybe that one down there isn't wide enough. I kind of think it is. I mean, you can kind of see it down there. It's fairly wide. Maybe it's just not quite wide enough. I don't know. These are all things that we can kind of explore later, but I want to get everybody's help on this one. This would be a cool project to kind of work on with somebody that, you know, knows a little bit more about this stuff than what I do. I'm kind of thumbing my way through. I've got a lot of automotive experience. I've got a lot of experience with, you know, engineering and structures and things like that. I kind of went to school for that stuff. So the reason you don't have that jump on the SCX24 is its axles has a worm gear on the top of it. Inside here is just basically a ring gear going to an output gear, which is going to the cup or whatever, and that's pretty much it. The shafts that are fairly straight there, right? So that doesn't create a lot of binding point, but if you look, it kind of goes up pretty good, you know. So that's kind of putting a little stress here. See how it's got a little bit of a bind there, and down there. Down there is not so much as what it is right here. And what that does is that creates a little area that kind of creates a little friction, a little harder. You know, you need a little more power to pump through that. And when you're trying to do like low speed control and stuff like that, there's two ways that you can get that: through the speed controller or through gearing. You can't really do a lot of gearing as far as the way that it's set up now. There's not really a lot of options for spur gears and pinions and stuff for this scale. Now, I do have some other projects that I want to try, like a dual motor setup. I think that's the only other one I've seen for the transmission. There's you take the transmission out and you run just basically a gear. There's a setup for that. I forget what they call that. But it basically eliminates all the reduction from the transmission, which I don't know. That could be good. It could be bad. You know, I don't know. We're going to be trying some more of those here soon, so just stay tuned, guys. And again, anybody has any suggestions on these, let me know. We're just going to kind of work through each one of these that I find and just see what works, see what sticks. You know, we're going to try some things out, and even if it fails, you know, I'm still going to show a video so that other people know that this is how you do it. And if they want to improve upon the design or whatever, they've got a basis to start on and hopefully build on.
Break it down.